The school office told me my daughter had already been picked up by my mother. Minutes later, I heard my controlling ex in the background of her phone and realized they had used the early dismissal to take her by sunset. His SUV sat empty near a washed-out bridge. Then my daughter's watch whispered, "Mom, don't cross." Where was she? My daughter's voice did not come through as a call. It came in broken pieces, pushed between the roar of floodwater and the rattle of metal. "Mom, I'm with Grandma." Dad took her phone. He left in the yellow truck. The wall says Shelter 6. The water is on the 3rd step. The message paused. For 1 second, I thought that was all I would get. Then Emma's voice returned, thinner than before. "Please don't cross the bridge." I was standing beneath the open rear door of the sheriff's command vehicle as rain blew across the road and radios talked over one another. Beyond the lights, the Hollis River had spread over low ground and torn away part of the bridge approach. Somewhere past that water, my daughter was trapped inside a flood station with my injured mother. And Derek had left them there. The message proved Emma was alive. That truth reached me first, warm and sharp enough to weaken my knees. Then the rest settled in. Derek had found a vehicle. He had taken my mother's phone. He had driven away alone while the water climbed one step at a time toward our child. Captain Ruiz held out her hand for my phone, but waited until I nodded. She played the recording again, while the radio traffic around us dropped lower. This time I listened for more than Emma's fear. Shelter 6. My father had called it that when I was a girl. The county called it Flood Control Station 6, but he always said Shelter 6, as though the building were meant to keep people safe. I remembered 6 wide steps inside, a raised machinery platform, a steel door that could jam when mud pressed against the frame, a small vent high on the west wall. Those memories were also the first useful thing I had offered all afternoon. Every part of me wanted to run toward the bridge. I wanted to climb over the barrier, wade into the water, and prove that no closure could keep me from my daughter. But Emma had asked me not to cross. For years, Derek had called obedience love. He wanted people to prove they cared by doing exactly what he demanded. I could not answer that kind of love by becoming just as reckless. I once believed a good mother ran toward her child at any cost. That afternoon, I learned that sometimes loving a child meant standing still, listening carefully, and letting trained people reach her without having to rescue me too. 4 hours earlier, at 11:32 that morning, I still believed the worst thing that could happen was arriving late to school. I had no idea my mother was already using her name on the pickup list to open a door. I had spent 2 years and thousands of dollars in legal fees trying to close. The school's early dismissal alert reached me while I was driving through rain, heavy enough to blur the stop signs. I kept one hand on the wheel and called the front office, but the line was busy. By the time I pulled into Cedar Ridge Elementary, it was 12:48. Buses were gone, parents hurried across the lot with children beneath umbrellas. Inside, the secretary looked at me, then at her screen. Emma was signed out at 12:16. My coat was dripping onto the floor. By whom? Your mother, Helen Bennett. For a moment, the hallway seemed to narrow around me. Mom was still on Emma's pickup list. She had helped during the divorce. When court dates and work visits collided, she had valid identification. She knew the family code. The school had followed the authorization I had left in place. The betrayal happened after she walked out the door. The principal brought up the security footage. Emma came through the front entrance holding Mom's hand. She looked calm, almost relieved. Later, I learned Mom had told her I knew about the plan. I called Mom twice. The first call rang out. The second was rejected. Then I opened the court-approved parenting app and sent Derek one message. My mother had removed Emma from school without my permission. He was not allowed contact outside the supervised visitation center. He needed to return her immediately and send his location. During our marriage, Derek had used silence like a trap. He would ignore 5 calls, answer the 6th, then tell people my repeated dialing proved I was unstable. That afternoon, I did not chase him. I documented him. Mom finally answered on the 3rd call. She said Emma was fine. She said Derek only wanted time with his daughter, without me making everything tense. Then I heard his voice in the background. Hang up, Helen. My hands went cold. Put Emma on the phone, I said. Mom refused. She told me she had given Derek the early dismissal schedule because a girl still needed her father. I ended the call and dialed 911. I gave the dispatcher Derek's plate number, Emma's photo, her yellow raincoat, the date of the court order, and the rule limiting him to supervised visits. I explained that Mom could pick Emma up, but she could not transfer her to a restricted parent. Detective Daniel Mercer arrived within minutes. He read the order once and looked up. This is not a family misunderstanding. His radio crackled. A matching sport utility vehicle had been seen heading toward the Hollis River, where one bridge approach was closed. When I heard the words service road, I remembered one person in my family knew how to get around closures. I called my brother. Did you give Derek that road? Machinery roared behind my brother when he finally answered. Chains clanged nearby, and a diesel engine idled, forcing him to raise his voice. Laura, I heard Mom picked Emma up. I'm sure this is being made into something bigger than it is. Detective Mercer stood beside me in the conference room, listening on speaker. Did Derek ask you about the flood roads? I asked. Jason paused. He said Derek had only called about the weather. Then he admitted Derek wanted to know which service roads stayed open longest when the Hollis River rose. He insisted that was all. Just a road. Another silence followed when I asked why Derek needed it. Jason mentioned a cabin. Derek had talked about taking Emma away for 2 nights. Somewhere quiet, without lawyers watching every word. My mother planned to ride with them only until 4 o'clock. Jason had agreed to pick her up at the West Ridge travel stop. She had intended to leave my daughter alone with a man allowed to see her only under supervision. Detective Mercer leaned toward the phone. Preserve every message between you and Derek. Do not delete anything. Send the complete thread, Jason said. He understood. The file arrived later. Parts of the conversation were missing. Derek asked about road closures. Then the messages jumped to Jason telling him to be careful. He divided his help into pieces small enough to sound harmless. Weather, 1 road, 1 pickup point. No questions about the cabin. Dangerous plans do not always begin with a weapon or a threat. Sometimes they begin with a route around a barricade and a person who says he does not want details. Jason used ignorance like a shield, but he had chosen not to know because the truth might have required him to say no. The deputy entered with security video from a gas station near the river. The timestamp read 1:26. Derek stood beside the pump, calm and unhurried. He filled a red fuel can, then returned carrying bottled water, packaged food, batteries, and a child's rain poncho. My mother sat in front. Emma was behind her. A waterproof bag rested in the cargo area. Hot chocolate did not require extra gasoline. The conversation did not require food for the road. The last traffic camera showed Derek turning onto the county service route, past 6 flood stations and a maintenance yard on higher ground. Jason knew that road because his towing company handled county emergencies. Before I tell you what police found beside the river, let me know where you're listening from and what time it is there. I'm always amazed by how far these stories travel, and I'd love to know who is sharing this moment with me. Then Detective Mercer's radio crackled. They had found Derek's vehicle. The rear door was open, and my daughter's yellow raincoat lay in the mud beside a bridge that was no longer whole. The yellow raincoat was the first thing I saw beyond the rescue barrier. Derek's sport utility vehicle sat crooked on the shoulder, tilted toward a section of road the river had eaten away. One rear door hung open. Emma's coat lay beside it, half pressed into the mud, one sleeve filled with brown water. My body moved before my mind did. Detective Mercer caught my arm as I stepped toward the barrier. He did not tell me to calm down. He only said the coat was close to the vehicle, not downstream. It was not torn. Nothing about it proved Emma had gone into the river. A deputy pointed toward the service road. 3 sets of footprints led away from the vehicle. One belonged to a man with a long stride. Another belonged to a woman taking shorter steps. The smallest prints ran between them. Emma had left the vehicle alive. The relief lasted only a second. Rain had softened the tracks until they disappeared near the trees. Beyond that point, the road bent toward the old flood stations and higher county land. Detective Mercer asked what Emma might do near moving water. "She is afraid of deep water," I said, "and she knows not to step into water that is moving." He asked about her backpack. I explained that she always kept it upright because she carried paper animals clipped to the zipper. A deputy looked inside the vehicle and found a clean circular mark where the bag had rested. The backpack was gone. 3 drink cups remained in the holders. Bottled water and packaged food were still in the cargo area. The red fuel can was missing, so was my mother's purse. The waterproof bag Derek had loaded earlier was gone too. This was not the scene of people running without thinking. Derek had chosen what to carry. The things left behind showed preparation. The missing things showed intention. Jason arrived in his towing jacket and stopped when he saw the yellow coat. His excuses seemed to leave him. Detective Mercer spread a county map across the hood. Jason pointed to flood stations 1 through 5 near the main road. Shelter 6 sat farther in, on higher ground. A public works maintenance yard stood about 300 yards uphill. Truck 14 was normally stored there during flood season. The county system still listed it as parked, but the yard camera had lost power. A search team reported fresh utility truck tracks leaving the higher ground toward the eastern evacuation route. I had always thought evidence was something police found. That afternoon, I learned that sometimes the most important evidence was an empty space, a missing bag, a missing phone, a fuel can no longer in the vehicle, a county truck that should have been waiting on the hill. At 4:06, my phone lit up. An audio message from Emma's watch began to download. The progress bar stopped twice before my daughter's voice pushed through the sound of rushing water. The message opened with water striking metal, and my daughter breathing too fast. "Mom, I'm with Grandma. She hurt her ankle. Dad took her phone and left in the yellow truck. The wall says Shelter 6. The water is on the 3rd step. Please don't cross the bridge." Then the recording ended. For 1 second, nobody moved. Emma was alive. My mother was injured. Derek had found a way out and left them behind. Captain Elena Ruiz asked me to play the message again. She listened with her head lowered, as though each word might point to a road on the map. "Shelter 6, I said. That is not the evacuation center." I pulled the county map closer. When I was a girl, my father sometimes took me along during Public Works open house weekends. Flood Station 6 sat beyond the main bridge approach, below a maintenance yard. Inside, someone had painted Shelter 6 across the far wall. There were 6 wide concrete steps leading to a raised machinery platform. The steel door faced south. If mud pushed against the frame, it could jam from the outside. Above the platform, on the west wall, there was a narrow ventilation opening. My father had once made me count those steps. "If water reaches the lower room," he told me, "you go up, you do not fight the door, you get high and wait." Decades later, those simple instructions had become a map to his granddaughter. Captain Ruiz changed the rescue plan. Her team would not approach from the damaged bridge. They would launch a boat from the Calmer branch downstream, cross below the strongest current, then climb the western slope and reach the station from higher ground. For the first time that afternoon, I was no longer trying to convince anyone that Derek was dangerous. I was giving them information they could use. Detective Mercer turned toward Jason. "How did Derek get into the maintenance yard?" My brother stared at the map before answering. He admitted he had sent Derek the gate code. Then he admitted he had explained where the emergency lockbox was kept. Finally, he gave Mercer the code for the spare key to Public Works Truck 14. A road had become a gate had become a key. Within minutes, an alert went out across the county for a yellow Public Works truck. I opened the message app and recorded a reply. "Stay high. Don't enter moving water. Help is coming. I heard you." The message stayed on sending. I had thought emergency instructions were only the habits of a mother who worried too much. But in a rescue, "I'm scared" does not reveal a location. The wall says Shelter 6 and the water is on the 3rd step does. At 4:24, Captain Ruiz reported that her team could see the station roof through the trees. Seconds later, another unit found fresh truck tracks on the high ground. They were leading away from Shelter 6, not back toward my daughter. Captain Ruiz's team moved through the trees toward Shelter 6, while I stood beside the command vehicle and listened to their voices break through the radio static. What happened inside that building, I only learned later from Emma's forensic interview, my mother's statement, and the marks left on the concrete. But in that moment, the truth came in pieces. After Derek's vehicle stalled near the washed-out road, he ordered all three of them out. He told Emma I had approved the trip. My mother repeated the lie, so Emma followed because she trusted them. Before they reached the station, Derek noticed the watch beneath Emma's sleeve. He switched on airplane mode and pushed it into her backpack. He thought it could not work without my phone nearby. Inside Shelter 6, he took my mother's phone and climbed toward the maintenance yard using the codes Jason had sent. While he was gone, my mother stepped outside to look for him. The mud shifted under her foot. She fell against the threshold and twisted her ankle. Emma found an orange utility strap near the stairs. She looped one end around the rail and helped my mother pull herself upward, 6 steps, one at a time. Then they heard an engine. Derek had returned in Public Works Truck 14, but moving water had cut between the road and the station. He stayed inside the truck and shouted for Emma to come across. A piece of wood spun past his front tire. Emma did not move. "If you love me, you'll come," he called. Mom says not to walk in moving water. Derek had a working radio. He had my mother's phone. He had higher ground behind him. He still drove away. He later claimed he was going for help. Emma had made things harder by refusing to listen. Derek always said he wanted love, but what he called love came with a condition. People had to obey him, even when the law, their instincts, and the water in front of them said no. Emma found her watch beneath a paper fox in her backpack. She turned off airplane mode, climbed near the west vent, and held her wrist toward the opening. One weak signal appeared. She sent the message. The water reached the 4th step. Mud pressed against the steel door until it would not open. Then the rescue team heard metal striking metal. 3 knocks. A pause. 3 more. Emma had found a loose pipe and was hitting it against the handrail. A rescuer forced one vent panel inward. Radio static swallowed the next few words. Then a man said, "We have visual on the child." At the same moment, the Eastern checkpoint reported that Truck 14 was approaching with one man behind the wheel. On one radio channel, rescuers could see my daughter through the vent. On the other, police ordered the driver of the yellow truck to raise his hands. But Emma was still inside Shelter 6, and the water was still rising. The rescuer at the west vent forced another panel inward. A harness went through first. Then Emma appeared. Captain Ruiz reported that she was conscious. The team pulled her through the opening and guided her across the slope. When Emma reached the medical crew, I finally breathed. She had mild hypothermia and several scrapes. My mother came out next with her ankle splinted. I stayed at the receiving area. Emma had warned me not to cross the bridge, and I had listened. At the Eastern checkpoint, Derek stepped down from Truck 14 as though he could explain everything. He said he had borrowed it to find help. The evidence said otherwise. The radio had connected to a county repeater, but Derek never made a distress call. First, he claimed there was no signal. Then he said he did not know how to use it. My mother's phone sat in the cup holder. Derek said she had given it to him, then claimed he had picked it up by accident. The waterproof bag rested on the passenger floor. When officers asked why he had not stayed on high ground, Derek said Emma had refused to listen and made everything harder. He did not say he had abandoned his daughter. He said she had made him leave. Controlling people often tell the story as though another person's refusal forced their hand. Derek turned Emma's decision to avoid moving water into proof that she caused the crisis. At the hospital, Emma lay beneath heated blankets. Her cold fingers closed around mine. "You heard me?" "I heard you." "You didn't cross the bridge?" "No." I listened. I told her she had done the right thing. Nothing was her fault. She would not have to see Derek. My mother passed in a wheelchair crying. She asked me to say she had only wanted them to talk. When Emma asked whether Grandma knew the trip would last 2 nights, my mother looked away. Grandma thought you would be happy once you had time with your dad. She wanted to come inside and explain. I refused. Emma is not responsible for making you feel forgiven. My mother said she needed Emma to know she loved her. She needed you to act like someone who loved her before you handed her to Derek. I once believed regret always deserved an audience. That day I learned some apologies. Comfort the person who caused harm, not the person who survived it. Detective Mercer arrived. Derek was in custody, the truck and bag had been sealed. A judge was reviewing the search warrant. Then he said my mother had admitted there was a document bearing my signature. What document? She turned toward the wall. If you are still listening, please rate how satisfied you are with this story in the comments below. It lets me know people are still walking beside me. Your presence is my greatest encouragement to continue with the final part. The next morning, police opened the bag under a judge's order. It did not hold clothes for a weekend trip. It held a new life Derek had prepared for my daughter, one where my name had almost disappeared. The next morning, Emma was asleep beneath a warmed hospital blanket when Detective Mercer asked me to step into a private consultation room. He placed several evidence photographs on the table. The waterproof bag had been opened under a signed warrant. The first picture showed Emma's birth certificate, a copy of her social security card, and medical records downloaded from an old parent account. Beneath them were enough clothes for more than a week. There was also a prepaid phone, $3,200 in cash, an address near Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, a door code for an empty condominium owned by one of Derek's former co-workers. Detective Mercer showed me a printed route that avoided the main traffic cameras. Fuel stops had been marked along the way. Then he placed a school enrollment packet in front of me. Derek had listed himself as Emma's only parent. He had written the Idaho condominium as her home address. The spaces for my name and consent were blank. The cabin story had never been the destination. Derek had prepared to move my daughter across state lines, place her in another school, and force me to negotiate from a position of panic. During our marriage, he controlled the credit cards and decided when I could use the car. He believed the person who controlled the money and the location controlled the outcome. This time, he had tried to control Emma's location. The final photograph showed a document titled Temporary Travel and Medical Authorization. My name appeared beneath a statement saying I had approved the trip. I had never signed it. The paper could not replace the court order. It did not need to. Derek only needed it to make a hotel clerk hesitate, make an officer call a supervisor, or make the situation look like a disagreement between two parents. A few lost minutes might have been enough for him to keep moving. My mother admitted the truth later that morning. Derek had told her the paper was only for a hotel or doctor. She wrote my name herself, then signed as a witness. She knew I would call the police. She believed that if Emma returned happy, I would understand. You knew I had not agreed, I said. My mother lowered her eyes. She had not been deceived about my permission. She had been deceived about the destination. The betrayal itself had been a clear choice. A person does not need to understand every part of a dangerous plan to become essential to it. My mother did not know about Idaho, but she knew the court order, my refusal, and the reason Derek needed a false signature. I thought the bag contained the worst truth. Then investigators recovered data from my mother's phone and my brother's account. The plan had not begun on the day school dismissed early. My family had been opening doors for Derek for months. The recovered messages began months before the flood. My mother had sent Derek photographs of Emma's school calendar, early dismissal notices, and field trip forms. She told him which days I worked in other towns and when Emma had therapy after school. One message included the clinic address. I stared at it until an old memory came back differently. Derek had once appeared in the therapy parking lot and claimed he had guessed where we were. At the time, I blamed myself. I wondered whether I had left a paper on the kitchen counter or forgotten to change a password. I had not been careless, my mother had told him. She called it keeping a father informed. But a dismissal time, a clinic address, and a work schedule do not remain harmless when they are handed to someone who uses information as control. Together, they became a map of my daughter's life. In one message, my mother wrote, Laura is teaching Emma to be afraid of you. Derek answered by telling her I was poisoning his relationship with his child. He did not need to break through every boundary himself. He only needed someone inside the family to believe my boundaries were bitterness, then call opening the door an act of kindness. That was the part people rarely understood about control after a marriage ended. It could continue through shared calendars, school forms, family accounts, and relatives who believed they were helping together. Those small permissions gave Derek a path back into our lives. The investigators also recovered the messages Jason had deleted after Detective Mercer ordered him to preserve them. Derek had written, "Once she's out of Laura's reach, Laura will finally listen." Jason replied, "I don't want details, just don't use my name." He had not objected to the plan, he had objected to being connected to it. Jason later said he deleted the exchange because he panicked about losing his county towing contract. While Emma was still missing, he had protected the agreement that gave him access to public roads and equipment. The county suspended that contract. He lost access to the maintenance gate, the lockbox, public works vehicles, and emergency routes while investigators reviewed whether deleting the messages amounted to evidence tampering or obstruction. For years, I had asked myself how Derek kept finding cracks in the protections around us. I checked devices, changed passwords, and questioned my own memory. The answer was not that I had failed to be careful enough. The people I trusted had opened the doors from the inside. The flood did not create their betrayal. It only washed away the excuses covering it. That afternoon, I went home with a short list in my hand. I could not undo what my family had done, but I could close every door they had treated as theirs to open. The first thing I changed was the school pickup list. I removed my mother, then I removed Jason. I replaced the family code with one neither of them knew, and asked the office to call me directly before accepting any change, even if the request came from a relative. After that, I called Emma's clinic. Every old medical release was canceled, the parent portal was reviewed, and Derek's access was frozen under the new court order. I removed family members from the emergency contact page and added a close friend who had respected every boundary during the divorce. My attorney sent certified copies of the order to the school and clinic. Emma's therapist helped us write a safety plan with no family exceptions. I was exhausted, but for the first time, exhaustion did not feel like surrender. None of those steps felt dramatic. They were forms, passwords, signatures, and short phone calls. But boundaries are not wishes we make and hope other people honor. They need locks, records, and procedures strong enough to hold when someone decides our answer does not matter. The no-contact order barred Derek from reaching Emma through calls, messages, relatives, or the parenting application. I also changed the sharing settings on her watch. Only the people Emma and I approved could see her location. Before we left the hospital, a trained forensic interviewer spoke with her in a child-friendly room. I waited outside. Emma explained that Derek had told her to say I approved the trip if police stopped them. She believed him because my mother had repeated the same lie. When the interview ended, I did not ask Emma to tell me everything again. I did not lead her back through the water, the stairs, or the moment her father drove away. Too many adults had already wanted answers from her. What she needed from me was something ordinary. Toast or soup? I asked. Toast. So we went home and made toast. Later, I completed a new emergency form for the school. I wrote my name first, then I added the friend I trusted and the approved transportation service. One line remained empty. In the past, I would have filled it with a relative because blank space made our family look smaller. This time, I signed the form and left it blank. A safe, empty space was better than a dangerous name. I had once treated access as proof of closeness. My mother and brother had treated it as a permanent right. Now, every permission had to be earned by action, not blood. The administrative doors were easier to close than the emotional ones. 3 weeks later, my mother's attorney requested mediation. She was not asking to hear the limits I had set. She wanted to know what she had to do to be forgiven. The mediation took place in a small conference room at my attorney's office. Emma was not there. My mother sat across from me with her walking boot around one ankle. She looked tired, but I no longer confused pain with innocence. She spoke about counseling, regret, and the nights she had spent replaying Shelter 6. Then she folded her hands. I want to know what I have to do for you to forgive me. The question told me she still saw forgiveness as a process with a finish line. Attend therapy, write a letter, say the right words, regain access. This isn't a checklist, I said. You change even if Emma never gives you what you want. The room went quiet. My mother said she loved Emma. Then respect the possibility that she may never feel safe with you again. I did not say it to punish her. Love without respect had already placed my daughter in danger. No reunion was scheduled. My mother could send letters through the attorneys and Emma's therapist. Nothing would reach Emma unless it served her healing, not my mother's need for relief. Jason chose email, he said. Derek had deceived him. He never knew about Idaho and deleted the messages because he panicked. I read his apology twice, then answered one point. The problem was not the exact address. The problem was that he knew Derek wanted Emma beyond my reach, and he still gave him the road, the codes, and the key. He had protected himself while my daughter was missing. That fact did not disappear because he felt guilty later. A few days later, I sat with Emma at the kitchen table. She was repairing a paper fox with clear tape. I told her Grandma wanted to apologize, but she did not have to meet her. Will Grandma get in trouble if I don't forgive her? No, I said. What happens depends on what she did, not on whether you forgive her. I explained that she did not have to decide punishment. She only had to decide what felt safe. Emma said she did not want Grandma near her school. She did not want to visit. Maybe someday she would write something, but not now. You don't have to decide what someday looks like. Children should have a voice in who enters their safe places. They should not carry the burden of judging adults. 4 months later, Emma returned to school with a new paper fox in her backpack and the scratched watch on her wrist. The hardest part was no longer keeping Derek away. It was making sure fear did not turn me into a mother who needed to know every step my daughter took. 4 months after the flood, Emma was back at school, but ordinary life still came in careful pieces. She noticed unfamiliar cars. She chose seats near doors and disliked anyone standing behind her. She checked who was allowed to pick her up. Healing did not mean pretending nothing had happened. The scratched watch stayed on her wrist. I offered to replace the glass, but she shook her head. It still works. So did she. For a while, I checked her location whenever the blue dot stopped moving. If the signal paused, my hands went cold. I finally understood. Derek had called constant access love. I could not let fear teach me the same lesson. Emma and I made new rules. Location sharing stayed on during field trips and rides with adults we knew. On school days, she could turn it off after entering the building. No one could be added to family sharing without telling her. I made safety decisions, but I explained them instead of watching in secret. On the morning of her storytelling project, Emma placed a new paper fox inside her backpack. It wore a blue scarf and carried a tiny cardboard book. The first fox had survived Shelter 6 with a bent ear and a water stain across its tail. This one was going to school. Emma joined 2 classmates near the entrance. My hand moved toward my phone, then stopped. I had already seen her walk inside. I placed the phone face down in the cup holder. A moment later, it vibrated. I'm inside. My paper fox made it. I'm okay, Mom. Behind her voice, I heard lockers closing and children talking. No floodwater, no wind, no adult telling her what to say. I answered, I heard you. Have a good day. I once believed family meant the people listed on birth certificates, school forms, and emergency contacts. After the flood, I understood those titles mattered only when actions made them worthy. Real family does not demand access. Real family makes us feel safe when they come near. How satisfied are you with the way I protected Emma and ended my mother's and brother's access? Completely satisfied, somewhat satisfied, or should I have given them another chance? Please share your answer and reason in the comments. The first message from that watch was my daughter asking for help beyond the flood. The second was a child telling her mother she had made it safely inside. And to me, nothing had ever sounded more like freedom.